Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about psychodynamic, psychotherapy, and clinical psychology. Please turn on your captions if you have any trouble following along, and let's get started. Now, the official definition of psychodynamic psychotherapy is up there on your screen as always. You can pause and give it a read if you want, and let's move on to the largest contributors we have towards the field of psychodynamic psychotherapy. Of course, there is Freud, Anna Freud, Melanie, Adler, Jung, and many other notable names responsible for the development of this field. Now, there are a few assumptions employed by psychodynamic psychotherapists. The first one is that behavior stems from unconscious motives or drives, and we don't know of them to begin with. Then we have the belief that childhood experiences shape us as adults. That means that everything that remains unresolved in childhood comes back to haunt us when we are adults. There is also strict determinism involved, which means the psychoanalysts do not believe in free will. That's understandable since they believe that everything is a result of one's innate drives. They see the world in a mechanistic fashion, with each effect having a cause. The approach also supports the id, ego, and superego model. Basically, it is the primitive part of one's personality that deals with basic drives. The ego rationalizes its demands and make them socially appropriate. The superego is the embodiment of societal and cultural norms which act as a moral judge. When there's too much confrontation between the three parts of personality, we resort to defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms are acts which one carries out in order to alleviate the stress which is produced inside one's mind as a byproduct of the conflict happening between the three parts of personality. Transference basically refers to the process of transferring parental authority over to the therapist. This means that an authoritative position is given over to the therapist by the patient over the course of the treatment, something which models the early interactions which people have with their parents. So basically, Freud's theory was called psychoanalysis. Then later on, his students added their ideas to it and it became the psychodynamic theory. He was the one who came up with the id, ego, and superego model. He was also the one who talked about defense mechanisms. The defense mechanisms usually mentioned are repression, which is the burial of an emotion, denial, which is the denial of an emotion, reaction formation, which means forming a response that is contradictory to how you feel. So you attempt to love a person you hate, for example. Then there is projection, which means you channel your feelings onto something else. You hate yourself, but instead of doing something about it, you start hating someone else. Then there is sublimation, which means you tone down your feelings and express them in a socially acceptable way. And finally, we have displacement, which means that you channel your response towards less threatening sources. You hate your boss, but you cannot do anything about it, so you're rude to your family, for example. Then, of course, the very controversial psychosexual stages of Freud, which make little sense if you're not from a psychology background. The oral stage refers to a fixation on mouth and lasts till the baby turns one. Anal stage lasts till the baby is 3 years old and of course deals with the anus. The phallic stage then lasts till 6 years of age and centers around genitalia, following which the latency stage lasts till one reaches puberty, and not a lot happens during this stage in terms of libido, as exemplified by the name of the stage. Finally, the genital age begins from puberty and lasts till adulthood and signifies a time when people are introduced to the wonders of sexual intercourse. Please remember that a problem arises at any of the five stages will go on to manifest itself in adulthood unless it is corrected. So if a kid was not allowed to put things in his mouth like all kids do when they are 1 year old, then that kid is highly likely to develop an eating disorder. The Oedipus and Electra complex occur in phallic stages, whereby Freud states that all boys want to be with their mother and all girls want to be with their father. Now, before you report this video for being inappropriate and write a long Facebook post about how shitty Freud was, calm down. Most of these ideas have been questioned and no one in the psychodynamic world today views them in the same way they were once viewed. Freud also went on to talk about the power of insight, which meant that a lot of problems of people are solved when they merely acknowledge their existence and start to investigate its causes. Knowing the cause and existence of a problem helps us keep it in check. Now, here we are with the neo-Freudians, the people responsible for psychoanalysis turning into psychodynamic theory. Firstly, Carl Jung, the person who was supposed to be the successor of Freud, had major disagreements with him since Freud focused a lot on sexuality, whereas Jung believed that there were other ideas involved as well. Jung was a big proponent of archetypes in the collective unconsciousness. These are advanced concepts and would frankly require a series all by themselves. Then there was Eric Erikson, who believed that development occurs throughout one's life and is not limited to Freud's psychosexual stages. The new Freudians began to emphasize upon the importance of ego and believed that we exert a decent amount of control over our urges. This led to the formation of ego psychology. Also, personal relationships helped shape one's character, and events happening much more later than the end of childhood seem to have significant impact on our personality as well. Finally, we arrive at the proponents of object relations theory. This all starts off when Melanie Klein decided to psychoanalyze children directly, unlike Freud, who had a lot of ideas about children but had never treated them directly. In fact, he had mostly treated Victorian upper class women. It was later realized that children are much more influenced by the relationships they share than the drives and impulses within them. Thus, a child needs an object to be fixated with, which he later internalizes, and the influence of which he carries with him late into adulthood. This theory, of course, does not discuss the role of a father in a great deal. It was usually assumed that since it was the mother who catered to the child, the relationship between the mother and the child shaped the child's future. The proponents of objective relations perspectives also believe in brief psychodynamic procedures, which don't last as long as Freud's classical psychoanalytic styles. That's all for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and see you next Monday.